Back in my room, I get a call from Vida. Showtime, Vinny. InVision fills my view, engulfs my mind. A helper says, continue, stalking justice, suspect, Dr. Bull, level 2, surveillance. I'm thrust into the virtual game scene with Hammerman and Stilletta. I confirm again that, yes, Dr. Bull is my suspect. But I'm concerned. Everybody sees what's going on, but not him? Stilletta assures me, your worldwide audience is following every detail, but he doesn't have a clue. Hammerman wants to review the evidence we have. Reluctantly, I play my video diary. The vacation-clad masked man speaks with passion. And even with all the blood and gore, evil might really be something indispensable. Hammerman cuts it off. We're going to need a lot harder evidence than that to nail this guy. Time for another chat with the Bull Man, Vinny. I call Dr. Bull on InVision and say, listen, I was hoping we could talk some more. Same place? He agrees and clicks me off. Hammerman is impatient for action and ratchets up the game another notch. Continue, stalking justice, suspect, Dr. Bull, level 3, pursuit and arrest, location, the geekery. Through the magic of surveillance and InVision, Hammerman, Stilletta, and I are virtually transported to a spot near the hangout for self-abusers. From a distance, we watch the masked suspect waiting for my arrival. He's standing next to the man with a gouged eye, slumped against the wall. The man's face has changed since I saw him last. Both eyes are gone now, his face rendered to hamburger. Dr. Bull kneels by the man, telling him something I can't make out. The man fixes a blind stare on the glass in his hand, turns to Dr. Bull, and shakes his head. No. Dr. Bull attempts to remove the weapon of self-destruction from the man's fingers, but the man won't let go. The Bull Man shakes his head, stands, and walks away. He approaches the woman hanging by her hair, the upended chair still lying beside her dangling feet. Her eyes are blank now, inset in the stretched skin of her face. Dr. Bull rights the chair and lifts her onto her rubbery legs. Her knees buckle. He raises her again, this time reaching to unhook her slackened hair. With her head bowed like a lifeless marionette, she lifts her arm to stop him and tells him something I can't hear. He nods. Okay. Now lowering her gently, her hair taking back the full load of her weight once more. The Bull Man sees me and comes my way. He eyes Hammerman and Stilletta and asks me, are these your friends? I shrug. Stilletta says, is this him? I lower my head in shame. Come on, she prods. The audience is waiting. With my eyes turned from the Bull Man, I say, yes. Hammerman tells him, you're under arrest. Stilletta says, you have the right to be seen, but not to be noticed. You may think you have the right to remain silent, but anything you don't say, have ever said, might have said, or could ever have imagined saying will be held against you. You have the right to counsel. If you can't afford an attorney, an auto lawyer will be provided. Do you understand? His eyes stare at me through the slits in his mask as he holds out his wrists to be handcuffed. The crime fighters are clearly disappointed with my inability to gather harder evidence against the evilist. They leave me shaking their heads, with their captive in tow. Exiting the flea market through a crack in the wall, I pull my raincoat tight around my neck and step into the downpour. An alert appears on my InVision. News now. Stalking Justice update. A masked man in Hawaiian shirt and white pants is shown running through the crowded flea market with Hammerman and Stiletta in pursuit. A news thing says, "We still don't know how he got the weapon, but the masked man, they're calling Dr. Bull, is crossing the parking lot, climbing onto a fan van and taking off, just as the super cops make a desperate leap and grab the sidebars, where they dangle above the amazed bystanders. The masked man is spinning the vehicle, and oh no, flings the cops into the crowd where there are bound to be serious injuries. But the cops seem okay anyway. Jumping up, they climb onto another fan van. Now they're up and away, and the chase continues as we follow the action from an auto chopper. The arm of law enforcement is closing in on the fugitive where he's heading for that mega Happy complex. The skylight on the building is opening, and he's through it. Just as no, the door is closing in front of them, and I don't see how, but somehow, by just a hair's breadth, they're inside the building now, zooming through corridors that were never designed for air travel. Residents are diving for cover, the van skimming over their prostrate bodies. Oh, looks like someone, the runaway, has hit someone. Not pretty. Now careening off a wall, somehow he has managed to enter the air shaft, now dropping like a rock. A suicide diver for sure, but somehow he's pulled out of it. Don't ask me how. Now he's found an exit, and oh man, he's gotten tangled in the branches of that fluorescent tree. Now on the ground running, and coming in from, I don't know how they got here, the super cops are cutting him off. He's pointing a gun, taking a shot. He misses. Now they're taking aim, and he's down, flattened by a laser. With his hands on his hips, Hammerman straddles the disarmed renegade, rolling him onto his stomach. Stiletta cuffs him, wrists and ankles. They pick him up like a side of beef, fling him over the rail of their fan van, and are off and away across the cityscape. The news thing says, "Stay tuned for more gaming at gut level. Vinny versus the Bullman after the break." I call Dudmeat and ask him, "Did you see how the Bullman got that gun?" "Oh, him. You mean the stuntman?" Heading back to the motel, the gutters in the streets are filled to overflowing. I call Ice. She looks like she's in shadow. "Is that you?" "Yes," she says in a whisper. "I can hardly see you," I tell her. "Well, if you were here, you'd understand." "Why is it so hard to see you?" "Because that's how things are here. But never mind that. How's your skin, Vinny?" I tell her, "I forgot to check. You wouldn't believe what's going on here. My dad, the kidnapping. At least I know what they want from me now. Have you been watching the game?" "Vinny, the whole world is watching. What they're asking you to do, can you really do that?" "I think I am doing it. But with everything so skewed, it's hard to know." "But I think I know." "What do you know?" "Well, at least I know better." "You know better than what?" "I know better than to tell anybody what I really know." "That's good," she tells me. "You were telling me about the corn," I say. "You told me not to eat the corn." "Yes, that's what I said." "Why?" "Because it's in the corn, Vinny." "What's in the corn?" "It is in the corn. It's in every kernel." "What is?" If you told me what? You wouldn't want to know." "So things are the same for you over there?" I ask. "Things are the same everywhere. That's why you have to tell me right now, Vinny." "What?" "Same question as always. Can I count on you, Vinny?" I try to reassure her. "Well, I'd sure like to be someone you can count on. But that doesn't seem to satisfy her, and she clicks me off. I hear the racket of the auto trucks and look out the window of my room. Below, I see Al supervising the motel renovation. A pump drains the mosquito swamp in the bottom of the pool. Jackhammers rip up the buckled deck. Auto labor replaces the motel sign with one that reads, New Motherland. I go outside just as Sis runs out of her room past me. She's yelling at Al as she runs down the stairs. I can't hear what she's saying because of the jackhammers. Al backs away from her, raising his hands in self-defense. She presses him to the edge of the pool. The jackhammers stop. She yells at him, So tell me, is it true? Al shrugs. She runs back upstairs, and I follow her into her room. What's the matter, I ask her. Quads? Like he's kidding us? Quads, I ask. She says, No way, man, am I doing quads. I don't know how much extra Al had to pay to get it done so quickly, but by late afternoon the patio renovation is complete. I watch the scene unfold from the landing. Moms, in slack maternity smocks, drift out of their rooms, seating themselves at the patio tables beside the emerald pool. Al taps a water glass for the women's attention. Indicating the environment with a sweep of his arm, he tells them, I hope you appreciate the investment I'm making in your future. With this health spa ambiance, our customers are certainly going to appreciate. The Miss America mom cuts him off. You never said anything about quadruplets. Jocular Jenny says, Up until yesterday, you were talking twin carries. And now I mean, do you know what quads are going to do to us? Says Mother Lode. Eggs in a Basket underscores their concern. And you're not just talking about quads once in a while, are you? Al explains. You have to understand, we're under pressure from the offshore moms. There are women in Haiti doing sextuplets for a fraction of our twofer price. Sis counters, but you kept saying how we're all about custom work, one picture-perfect babe at a time. That's what you kept telling us. Al says, sure, but that was when we were talking about your own kids. But if you're not even kicking in your own germplasm, hey, you know, these days, consumers walk in here, pipette in hand, and they tell us straight out, you can keep your darn eggs, we got our own. And that's the norm. Hey, you know the three biggies just as well as I do. Price, price, and I'll tell you what, it's always going to be price. Because when you come right down to it, all you gals have to sell is the service of your bellies. So you better get your head screwed on right, because, believe you me, it's discount or die in this business. Sis says, so, okay, what if we do quad them? I mean, sure, quad them, no problem. She waves her contract in the air. But right here, it says, right here in small print in paragraph 1396, right down here, I mean, what are you telling us, Al? Like, are you telling us this is going to be a 182-day turnaround? Are you telling us 2 pops per year when everybody thinks it takes 9 months? Is that what you're telling us? Because if that's what you're telling us, 2 pops a year, so when are we supposed to get vacation time? That's what we want to know. Miss America butts in. It doesn't even say anything about vacation in my contract. And flex time. What the hell is flex time supposed to mean? How can you have flex time when you're pregnant? Eggs in a Basket says, hey, that flex time part, that got whited out of my copy completely. Al holds up his hand and says, the concept of flex time sort of got massaged to read bonus time. So don't worry, because bonus time is virtually identical with flex time and vacation time. And besides, we've been all over this before. Remember when we were talking about incentivizing? And I told you, sure, I was more than willing to pop for a princess cruise for a real winner. It's like I told you, I appreciate top performance as much as any boss, and I thought I made it clear we were talking about give and take. You were all gung-ho for give and take when we were talking about the Empress Princess bonus cruise with a scuba diving jaunt and all the tips included. Remember that? Yeah, says Jenny. But that was only for the bonus winner. What about the rest of us? Of course that's for the top producer, says Al. Someone that the rest of you can really look up to. I mean, what this is all about, what we're doing, isn't it all about leadership? About really appreciating the value of leadership and reaching for the stars? Don't you want to be the best? To really be all you can be? Remember when we talked about that? You were all pumped up about leadership and the bonus points and the cruise and everything. But no vacations, says Miss America. You think they're getting vacations in Bangladesh? Well, believe me, they're not. And that's where the bar is being set right now, today, in Bangladesh, where they're doing 3 delivery sets a year. And with those injections they're giving them over there, they're scoring 4 live births for 6 fetuses per carry on average. And now they're talking carrying 12 kids with a quality assurance expectation of 8 saleable children per litter. That's 1 kid a month, gross, a baseline of 1 babe per month. And if you don't think that 4 good babes per quarter is where the price point is situated right now, then you're not living in the real world, young ladies. And that's just today. We're not even talking about tomorrow, because from what I've been reading, a standard carry of quintuplets is right around the corner, with sextuplets on the drawing boards. I was trying to ease you girls into this nice and easy. But if the truth be told, then he changes his tack. You know, we make a big deal to our customers about how you girls aren't just some trash that blew in off the street. You're a lot more to me than wombs to use and lose. What I've been talking about from day one is professionalism. You know, real professionalism. And so, is there still some problem here with what I'm saying? Okay, sure, but quads, says Sis. I mean, quads, term in and term out, like for how many cycles? That's got to play hell on a girl's body. You think I don't understand that? Of course I do. Yes, and sure, there may be some risks. Sure. When we're reaching, extending ourselves, of course there might be ancillary effects. And that's exactly why I invited the best risk specialist in the business to fill you in on what we're doing about that, to put your minds at ease. And this guy, I mean, let me tell you, I know you got to be familiar with this guy already. So, moving along, I'd like you all to give a warm welcome to the fastest rising star on the BizLink circuit. Ladies, let's welcome Guy, the insurance guy. Guy steps onto the veranda to the silence of the moms. He coughs and says, "First off, I want to tell you it's a real honor to be here with you today to participate in your growing program. You know, I can really understand how women like yourselves might have some reservations about the risks involved in your chosen profession. In some ways, what you're doing could be considered uncharted territory. But you know, we've been looking out for special people like you for a long, long time. So rest assured, I know what I'm talking about." I know you might think, hey, birthing all these children at warp speed, this is all new. And it is. It's real trend-setting. But consider this. That's exactly the kind of thing they used to say about hyper-athletes too. It's like when gene engineering was just getting off the ground. Back when people used to say, hey, The human body was never meant to do such things as we now see every day. You're probably too young to remember, but there was a time when people used to say that an 800-pound lineman was a freak. Yes, they did. But they soon shut up when they saw what kind of holes those guys were opening for the ball carriers. And today, a lineman under 650 pounds is unthinkable. And that's the same thing they used to say about 9-foot forwards on the court. They said, women like that, they'd be too uncoordinated. And they said, whoa, what kind of a man would ever want to be with a monster chick like that? But you know what? That was before they saw the salaries those mamas were pulling down. And risks? Sure, there have always been risks for those who strive to be at the very top of the heap. Risk and excellence go hand in hand. And believe me, risk is not a problem, not as long as you've got that risk covered. Guy pauses. And that's right where I come in. So look, the point I'm making here is that for those of you who are taking your professional standing to a whole nother level, a woman like you, sure, there are risks. And so the key question you have to ask yourself is not, how can I avoid risks, but what kind of a risk-taking pro am I anyway? Am I a pace setter? Am I that special one-of-a-kinder that everyone else looks up to? Am I going to be one for the record books? And if your answer is yes, yes, and yes, then we say, hey, bring on the risk. Bring it head on, because we know how to handle risk. Miss America says, well, sure, gold-plated insurance programs for the super jocks, sure, but what does that have to do with us? You know, we put our uteruses on the line each and every day. How can you understand that? Guy coughs and says, I'm glad you're willing to ask the tough questions, because I'm ready, willing, and able to answer them. So, how can we understand what it's like for you ladies? Well, I'm here to tell you, we understand because we have the knowledge. And it's because we have the knowledge that we also have the answer. And the answer is tailoring, precise tailoring, in the form of micro-tailored term policies, custom-made for each and every one of you. You know, we're way ahead of you as far as the physical side of your business is concerned. And that's the reason we are able to be right there with you every inch of the way, because we put ourselves in your shoes. When you lie awake nights thinking, worrying about wound distension and unsightly stretch marks, we're lying awake nights right along with you. Yes, we are. Sure, we know these employment traits can be disfiguring. We felt your pain and we understand those disfigurements can hit you right in the financial gut, especially when the consumer is giving you the quick once-over. Sometimes those stretch marks are not a pretty sight, and believe me, we understand that. We understand it top to bottom. We understand the meaning of untimely hysterectomies, ovarian cysts, and so on and so forth. You bet we do, because we've covered this ground from A to Z. And as far as psychological damage is concerned, be it the provision of autotherapy or whatever it's called for, yes, micro-tailored term policies can cover all of that and more, because rest assured, whatever your heartburn, we have a writer for each and every headache, no matter how small or trivial. And infertility, yells a mom from way in the back. The guy is ready. Listen, we recognize there's always the chance of a mishap, and yes, even infertility raising its ugly head. Hey, Stuff happens. We know that. Absolutely. That's why we're already calculating infertility into the mix. So relax, because as far as you're concerned, we're way ahead of you. We've done the hard work, crunched the numbers, and we already know the likelihood of infertility. The statistics we use are rock solid. Our actuarials are tighter than a cork in a bottle. So sure, infertility, you bet. We've got you covered. You can count on it. Sis says, infertility may be temporarily sure, but what if we become permanently barren? Guy answers, that's an excellent question. And if you do become barren in the line of duty, God forbid, we've built in a loss coefficient for that as well. And get this, if you do become unimpregnable, and still you want to actually have your own children for yourself someday, that's perfectly natural. Well, there's a subcarrier's remuneration clause you can opt into whereby we actually hire you your very own surrogate mother, someone just like you, to pop the kids for you, precisely to your specifications. Now that's tailored. But this sounds expensive, says Jenny. What if we can't afford it? You know, as independent contractors, we only get paid on delivery. Let me assure you, it's all in the tailoring. You can contract with us for your whole career, or if, hey, let's face it, you're young and maybe still not all that committed to this life path that you've chosen, then sure, we can tailor your insurance to take that into consideration too. We have a variety of custom packages. By the pregnancy, by the year, for fixed number pregnancies, 5-year, open-ended offerings, even special circumstances cash compensation riders for a limited number of stillborns. Yeah, but who's going to pay for all this? Asks Eggs in a Basket. At this question, Al takes over from Guy. Okay, time for a sanity check. You know, girls, isn't this all just theoretical anyway? I mean, after all, none of you are even pregnant yet. A silence descends on the patio as an auto waiter rolls in with a cart carrying pitchers of mango tea and chilled dessert platters.